time.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
Senegal baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and good morning, and welcome to Regional Weekend. Baseball, the postseason of college baseball is back. 2020, of course, shut down by COVID, but not this year. Here it comes today at noon all across the country. College baseball will be in pursuit of a national champion. The JB and Goldwater Show is live, loud, and online just like every day, but a little bit earlier this morning, 9 o'clock. As it is June the 4th, Friday, regional play. Darren Goldwater, JB, we're here for the next hour. It is our Columbia Regional preview special. We'll be joined by the pitching coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, Skylar Meade. We'll also be joined by former pitcher and All-American of the South Carolina Gamecocks, Kip Bouknight. South Carolina will welcome Old Dominion, Jacksonville, and Virginia tonight, as a matter of fact. And Virginia and the Gamecocks will get the first crack at this sucker coming up at noon here today in Columbia, South Carolina. Tonight, the nightcap between fourth-seeded Jacksonville and top-seeded Old Dominion, the traveling one seed at Founders Park. But, Darren, it is just great to have postseason college baseball back. We've been waiting for this for a while, especially the baseball nuts that guys like you and I are and plenty of others out there. It's going to be a special atmosphere, not just in the Midlands of the Palmetto State, but all across the land.
I'm looking forward to what you've been talking about for most of the week already. Is there a better pitching matchup than what we've got here this afternoon with Abbott and Carey? If there is, you're going to have to make a really darn hard sell to convince me that there's a better pitching matchup today in the opening round than what we've got coming up at Founders Park. This is one of those games that you've said it as well. Runs are going to be at a premium. It's a very scary game, I think, for both teams, both Virginia and South Carolina, because you're both going up against a dude, and neither one wants to fall into that loser's bracket. You just can't afford to lose that opening game.
Yeah, there's no question. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. What's really interesting about this, Darren, is that for the first time this season, Brett Carey is technically your Friday night starter. But that's okay because it's Brett Carey. Theoretically and traditionally, when you look at college baseball and you're introducing a new Friday night guy in the postseason, yeah, there's something scary about that. But it's exciting for the Gamecocks because they're going to get their best arm in game one against Virginia's best arm, the left-hander Andrew Abbott, 8-5 on the year with a 2.63 earned run average, 136 strikeouts, 28 walks, and 89 innings pitched. And the remarkable stat that is riding with him into today's matchup is he hasn't given up a run in 28 1/3 innings pitched. That includes 4 starts, also 1 quick relief stint that he did have in the ACC tournament. So, yes, absolutely. If there is a better pitching matchup out there today, at least leading into a ball game, I'd like to see which one that is, because these two dudes are definitely going to be draft picks later on this month. They're going to go on to professional baseball, and today could be a long ways in getting them maybe even higher on the draft, or could go a long ways in getting them even higher on that draft board than they already are.
Well, we talked with Colin Taylor of Gamecock Central on yesterday's show, and he said, in response to your question, who's got the most to gain from that perspective, from getting onto those big league draft boards, it was Wes Clark, and then, well, Well, I guess Brett Carey also, because Goodman is more highly thought of as it comes to a next level guy. Why that is right now, I'm not sure. That's just where it is right now. But can Carey help himself? Can he shut down Virginia? If South Carolina can make a run, if you get out of this regional and go to a super, maybe farther, Brett Carey can etch his name much higher up on some of those draft boards with a good performance.
Yeah, no question. National TV at noon today, ESPN2, Virginia and South Carolina in a 2-3 matchup again tonight is the 1-4 at 7 o'clock at Founders Park in Columbia, South Carolina. Here's what the rest of the regional looks like and some of the notes that accompany the programs alongside South Carolina into this regional. It is Jacksonville, Old Dominion, and Virginia. Jacksonville, will start with them. They're in the tournament because of the run they made in the ASUN, just 16-32 on the year. That RPI sits at 208. Not good, no doubt, but they're here. It's been a pretty incredible run. It's been a strange year. They lost their first 8 games of the season, and then how about this? They swept the Wofford Terriers, who were in contention to win the SoCon. They also beat the likes of Florida and Florida State, and then proceeded to lose 10 more games in a row, did Jacksonville. However, they're 9-4 in their last 13 games. Here's a really interesting note, and this is something fun to keep an eye on tonight. Their best player, Mark Casala, is a two-way player, and he's in the rotation now as a starting pitcher. His ERA is not good, but he has had good performances. It's over 6. But guess what? Welcome to the big leagues. Excuse me, I said Mark. It's Mike. Welcome to the big leagues, Mike, because when he pitches, he hits.
He's Shohei Ohtani. He just doesn't have the numbers. Jacksonville, also of note, winning the ASUN tournament, they came out of the losers bracket to do that. So they've got experience with backs up against the wall, playing with absolutely nothing to lose.
Absolutely nothing to lose, no doubt. Casala also hits 338 on the year, Darren. He's been doing this two-way thing since the start of April. They only hit 262 as a team. They're led by Ruben Semilian, who is their most consistent hitter. 48 starts this year. He is over 300 at 303. The bugaboo for the Dolphins, a team ERA over 6 and not a starter with an ERA under 4.5. Opponents hitting 272 against them. Probably not a good sign when a team named Old Dominion is going to be the one swinging the sticks, because they've left the yard 101 times this year, and their batting average is over 300 as well. ODU comes in at 42-14, 22-10, and Conference USA, as I mentioned, that 101 home runs, it leads the nation. Of course, they also won Conference USA, the tournament that was just recently played down in Ruston, Louisiana. They're number 8 in the RPI. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games, and that lineup top to bottom is really good. Kyle Battle is a heck of a leadoff hitter. Carter Trice, Andy Garriola, just to name a few. But those three have combined for 45 home runs this year, a 342 batting average, and 184 ribbies, Darren. So no matter who they face, they've hit, and they've hit well. The deepest pitching staff in this regional is South Carolina, and we'll see if they get a matchup with them, maybe even on Saturday.
You feel much more comfortable about Old Dominion beating Jacksonville than you do about whichever outcome comes from this noon game with Virginia and South Carolina. The winner of the Virginia-South Carolina game should very likely get Old Dominion. And it's a hitter's park. We know that. It's built for this Gamecocks team, or vice versa, the team that's been built to fit into that park. They can mash. The ball flies better in the day, so that'll favor the Gamecocks at least for tomorrow. But if you get into that winner's bracket game, then it's a night game. Does that affect anything? And Saturday's game, if you get to that point?
Absolutely. Old Dominion 14-6 versus the RPI top 50 this year. Notable wins, 3 of them over La Tech, ECU. They've beaten them as well. They also won 4 games against Charlotte, and they also took one from VCU. ECU and VCU both lost to Old Dominion. VCU, by the way, is riding a 21-game winning streak entering the NCAA tournament. Old Dominion 10-1 in their last 11 games. They have won 7 in a row, and tonight at 7 o'clock, they'll again throw the first pitch against the Jacksonville Dolphins. Virginia is at 29-23. They're set to go in just a couple of hours against the Gamecocks, 18-18 in the ACC regular season, 8-4 in the month of May are the Wahoos, anchored by their pitching, and most notably, again, the guy we're going to see here today opposing Brett Carey, left-handed pitcher, Andrew Abbott, 8-5 with that 2.63 earned run average. They only hit 261 as a team, but they have averaged 8.4 runs per game since May the 1st. So the offense has gotten a little bit better. They don't strike out often. Only 367 of those this year. That's 143 less than the Gamecocks offense, by the way. So they do put the ball in play. We were told yesterday, Mark Kingston, in meeting with the media, it appears George Khalil, Braylon Wimmer, and Brennan Malone will all be set to go for the Gamecocks. They're going to need them in the infield with a team that certainly is going to make you have to throw them out and have to make plays.
We've talked about it for the majority of the week here. This defense is going to be tested. It doesn't matter that Brett Carey is out there, but it does affect this thing because Carey isn't going to walk a lot of guys. Carey does, as we've talked about, pitch to contact. He can get the strikeout if he needs to, but he's going to pitch to contact, and Virginia isn't a team that strikes out a lot. So this defense has to perform well, and they've got to do it early. You just can't get a negative thought sliding into your head, giving up an early run because something went wrong behind Brett Carey and sitting at the plate now thinking, my God, are we going to even touch this guy now? It's got to be solid, if not better than solid, defensively for the Gamecocks, and it has to start right away.
12-18 versus the RPI top 50 are the Wahoos. They are the 39th RPI team in the country. They did win their last 4 ACC series, and in the ACC tournament, pounded Notre Dame, the 10th overall seed in the dance, 14-1. Abbott did throw that game as well, and that one run was not earned by the Irish. And then, of course, that leaves the host, the Gamecocks. South Carolina comes in at 33-21, 16-14 in the regular season in the Southeastern Conference. However, 16-15 when you include that loss against Alabama in the SEC tournament. Their RPI has slipped a little. They're at 18, but none of that matters because they're hosting. 6-4 in their last 10 games are the Gamecocks. Here's a stat for you. Only once ever since Carolina has played baseball have they lost a home regional, and it happened in 2014, the second year of Chad Holbrook. That's it. They've never lost a home regional outside of that one season, and this year they don't expect it to be any different. 11-18 versus the RPI top 50. 40% of the games played this season on Carolina's schedule have been against national seeds. They were 7-14 in those contests. That, of course, does include a 3-game sweep of Florida. It also includes being swept 3 games by Ole Miss. They're rested. They've been waiting around for 9 days to get back out there on the field and play, and all indications are that Carolina is ready to go, and it's expected to be a big crowd this afternoon at Founders Park.
It's a good thing. I've said it all week. It's a good thing that they lost game 1 in Hoover. They needed to get healthy. They needed to get rested. They needed to get mentally right as much as they needed to get physically right, believing that this offense can be what they think it can be and turning it on right away. It was necessary to have a little bit of time off, just be around the guys, get healthy, not just physically, mentally, and you got the home crowd behind you. So, I mean, it hasn't been a host as a 2 seed to get out of there in Columbia, but you got the opportunity now. It's not going to be easy. This is a rough regional, but you got the opportunity in front of you.
I think is most difficult, probably the most difficult home regional I've seen South Carolina in 20 years. We're going to talk more about that with Kip Bouknight. Skylar Meade is also ahead in our program. Here is the rest of the slate today that starts at noon. In addition to the Gamecocks and the Wahoos on ESPN2, of course, Derek Scott and Tommy Moody have that on the Gamecock Sports Network on the radio. You'll find Duke and Liberty on the ACC Network at noon, Florida and South Florida at noon on the SEC Network. That's in Gainesville. Duke and Liberty in Knoxville is part of Tennessee's regional up there. Texas Tech and Army on ESPNU at noon in Lubbock, and East Carolina and Norfolk State. That is on the Watch ESPN app from Greenville, North Carolina at noon. Next up, Georgia Tech and Indiana State, Notre Dame and Central Michigan. They're 1 o'clock first pitches. Mike Morgan will be on the call of that Notre Dame regional. He'll also have UConn and Michigan from South Bend tonight at 7 p.m. So that is the start of the NCAA regional round here in college baseball. This has been the start of the 2021 Columbia Regional Preview Special right here on the JB and Goldwater Show. We're going to hit a quick timeout. When we return, we'll be joined by former All-American right-handed pitcher Kip Bouknight, and later by pitching coach Skylar Meade. Don't go anywhere. The 2021 Columbia Regional Preview Special. We'll be right back.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. It's springtime and we're playing ball. Most dealerships don't have any inventory, but at Stokes Volkswagen we do. So we're playing ball on every new Volkswagen in stock. Every new Volkswagen available with zero down. Qualified buyers can sign and drive with interest-free financing for 60 months. Remember, Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road is the fastest, easiest way to sell your car and get the most money for your trade. Plus, we'll take any trade in any condition, paid off or not. Is your credit in a slump?
Strike two.
If you've got $500 down and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. So if you want to strike out, that's okay. But if you want to hit a home run and save on a new Volkswagen, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
$1,666 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with zero down. Plus tax tag. Includes $499.50 administration fee. Subject to BCI credit approval. Expires month end.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Shrimping season's back. That means local caught shrimp. That's right. Local caught shrimp back on the menu at the Dog and Duck. All three locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road, now featuring once again local caught hand-breaded shrimp, plus other daily specials like the Game Day Burger every Wednesday, Rib Night on Friday, rotating taps all the time, and all the TVs you can possibly imagine for whatever you want to watch. The Dog and Duck in Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
Really looking forward to a packed Founders Park. Want to continue to invite all the great Gamecock fans to come out and support this team and make this a really great home field advantage and environment for all of us.
Breaking ball. There's a drive. That ball is tagged. That ball is going to be out of here.
Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in.
Wimmer gets there, throws across his body, got him!
A brilliant pitching performance by Brett Carey.
They're going to send Heinrich. He's going to score. It's a walk-off. Pollard Burgess does it.
Driven hard to right field, and Andrew Eister is going to walk it off back to back.
It's gone. Andrew Eister has done it.
Baby, take control now.
The Gamecocks house indeed is where Virginia, Old Dominion, and Jacksonville will be playing this weekend in the Columbia Regional. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, a Columbia Regional preview special driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Joining us now, former All-American at South Carolina. He knows a thing or two about playing in regionals. It is Kip Bouknight. What's up, my friend?
All right, guys. How y'all doing?
I think we're as ready as the rest of the country to finally see postseason college baseball here in just a couple of hours, brother. It's 2020 was a shot to the gut for all of us, but nonetheless, it's back. And most importantly, in our neck of the woods, it's right where it belongs in Columbia.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm actually I was really kind of hoping to be able to work the games, but now I'm excited I'm not. I'm not going to be able to enjoy it with my wife and two boys, and my brother's coming. We're going to be able to be general fans and enjoy it and try to make it a loud, tough atmosphere for Virginia. And really, really looking forward to a packed house. I hate it's not a night game, but I think that could bode well in South Carolina's favor. It seemed like they hit a couple balls more out of the ballpark during the daytime there at Founders.
Well, those will be hard to come by today. Certainly, obviously, as Andrew Abbott is set to to toe the rubber for the Wahoos of Virginia. He has been special. 136 strikeouts, Kip, in 89 innings. But we'll start with Carolina's starter. I mentioned to Darren at the top of the show, generally, if you're introducing a new Friday night guy when you start the postseason, that's probably not a good sign. But in this case, it is for Carolina. It's a guy who's been very capable for a couple of years of starting game one in any series, and that is Brett Carey. He's been back in the rotation, but he hasn't been starting the first game of any series since he's been in it over the last couple of weeks. But he's going to get that opportunity today. This might be the best pitching matchup in all of college baseball.
Yeah, it's a great one. Obviously, Virginia's lefty Wyatt is extremely good. I've watched him several times this year, and Brett Carey, we know what we're getting out of him. And I actually exchanged text messages with him this morning, and just tried to encourage him to not try to do anything different. It's just a different day. Being a Friday night guy, the thing about that, the difference is the mental preparation, the build up. You're facing the number one pitcher on the other team, so things are magnified. You certainly don't want to give up a lot of runs, because it may be tough to score a lot of runs, but all those intangibles, all those things Brett Carey can handle, and that's one of the things for me that I've fought for years. I mean, I felt like he should have been our Friday night guy for the last 2 or 3 seasons. And he's a 4-pitch guy. He knows how to pitch. He can get a strikeout when he needs to. He feels his position well. He handles adversity well. He can give up a 2-run homer and go out and throw up 5 or 6 zeros afterwards. I mean, there's a lot there that in his makeup that I think Brett Carey and I think he'll seize the moment. I really do. I think he'll be very well prepared, and I like the fact that he has been stretched out now for a couple weeks and pitched deep into games. Obviously, the complete game against Kentucky, and then pitched very well against Vanderbilt and won that game. So I'm excited. I think it's a great matchup, and I have to give the edge to South Carolina at home with Brett Carey on the mound.
I agree with you, and it's really interesting, Kip, because Virginia they don't strike out a lot. I mean, they've struck out 367 times this year. We've mentioned that number a lot over the last week since we've known who the matchup would be for the Gamecocks. And that, although that may sound like a lot to somebody, it's not. I mean, the Gamecocks have struck out 510 times, so that should be a pretty good comparison to let everybody know. 6-7 strikeouts a game in college baseball, that's a very minimal number these days. So what does that mean for a guy like Brett Carey? I mean, we saw him up at Kentucky throw a complete game, 95 pitches. That sucker just moved right along on his end of things. He will pitch to contact at times. There's not much contact, but how do you see that kind of playing out today? Virginia is not a power team either, and they only hit about 260 as a squad.
Well, I think he's just going to have to make an adjustment early on and see what their approach is. I think it can play in Carey's hands, but he's got to figure that out. If they're swinging out of the gates and they're trying to ambush him, then he might have to actually pitch backwards a little bit, or he may have to either throw the fastball in a good bit early or throw the cutter and try to get some easy outs that way to steal some outs. But their approach may be to get him to throw as many pitches as possible and take a good many pitches and try to get him out of the game in the 5th or 6th inning. It's just going to depend on the approach. I don't think that'll be it. I think they're going to come out hacking. I think they're going to come out and try to get to him early because they know he's not going to walk guys. And I think they're just going to try to see something up in the zone and drive it. So, Carey's just going to have to, work with his catcher, Burgess, and work with his pitching coach, Skylar Meade, and just try to recognize those swings and what they're doing. And, the biggest thing for a guy like Carey is not to be too jacked up. And anytime you're a game one starter on a Friday night or Friday at noon, if you will, I've learned that the hard way sometimes. I mean, there were times in my career, even when I would get jacked up in the minor leagues and be pitching a big game, for a guy that's trying to sink it and cut it and locate, sometimes being jacked up is not a good thing. Now, Carey obviously could throw that 4-seamer up in the zone, and we can see him throw get guys out. But he also does a good job of sinking it and getting ground ball outs as well early in the count. So he's just got to make sure he, breathes properly, takes good deep breaths, and he's ready to go. And, he's just going to have to see. I feel like he's one of the very few guys on the staff, if not the only one, that's able to recognize what a hitter's doing and how they're swinging off of him and make adjustments accordingly.
Former All-American and now one of the great voices for Gamecock baseball, Kip Bouknight, here on the JB and Goldwater show. It is regional time in Columbia and all across America. Kip, is there any meaning to the fact that he hasn't pitched in a while? I mean, I think the time off has been good for Carolina to get healthy, to kind of relax themselves a little bit, refresh their minds. I think they were a little bogged down after that grueling gauntlet of a schedule they had to go through. And obviously they were a little bit banged up. But it's been a while. I mean, they only played one game in the SEC tournament. Do you look into that at all, or nope, it's Brett Carey, he should be fine and ready to go?
Well, I like the fact that it's Brett Carey because he can handle that part of it with his mentality, and mentally he'll be able to make an adjustment because, yeah, it is a difference. I mean, people say that, the hitters, they're going to lose their timing. Well, pitchers do too. We're a creature of habit. And I know if you look back at my 9.5 minor league career, you would see anytime I had more than the allotted 4 days rest, like if we had a rain out and then, the change in a rotation or something where I had 6 or 7 days rest, man, my numbers plummeted. It was not good because, sometimes, and what happens is sometimes you're so fresh that you end up throwing a little bit harder. But for a guy like me, when I played, I was 88 to 91. Well, then all of a sudden, I'm 90 to 93. Well, then everything's up and it's not sinking. It's not moving like I want it to. So, yeah, that can be a big deal for Brett Carey. I mean, it's been it'll be 13 days in between the starts. Is that right?
I think so.
On a Saturday against Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it was a Friday. It seemed like it was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But anyway, it's been a long time. The good news is I'm sure he's pitched in some simulated scrimmages and definitely done some bullpens, but that can make a difference. But once he gets out there, he just got to try to get a feel for what he's got that day. And that, again, that's something else that Brett Carey does really well. He doesn't focus on, oh, gosh, I only got 3 pitches today, and my favorite pitch is my cutter, and I don't have it today. He goes with what's good that day. And that's what a good pitcher does. That's a sign of a good pitcher. And it's a lot the same in golf. You got to just play with what you got that day. And that's what Brett Carey normally does. So I don't think it's that big of a deal for him.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point that it is Brett Carey that's going to get the go, because runs. Look, Kip, if they're not at a premium, that'll be a surprise, I think, to a lot of us. I mean, I don't know of many folks that are expecting Carolina's offense or vice versa for Virginia to just step in the box and wear out the other guy, either Carey or Andrew Abbott. So, I mean, if you give up 1 or 2 early on, that could be fairly dangerous, because, I mean, Andrew Abbott hasn't given up a run in 28 and a third straight innings. So Carolina is probably not going to score a bunch against him. Hopefully they can get him out of there early. So I think it's a great point to make. The other point offensively is, while we're talking about runs, is, look, there are some guys who, since the Kentucky series, actually have swung it pretty well. Eister, Allen, Seitler, Wes Clark, they've all got pretty good numbers since that Kentucky series. And now they're getting some guys, some bodies fresh and back in there. We know, Kip, they don't have a deep bench. They don't have the guys that you had where Coach Tanner could, funnel some dude in there and give him the home run sign, and they're going to go up there and swing to try to hit one out of the Sarge. That's not sitting on the bench for Carolina. So they have to have everybody that they've got available. As we are set to go here, getting Brennan Malone and Braylon Wimmer and those guys healthy and back in there, what do you think that means from an offensive standpoint in this regional against the arms they're more than likely going to see?
Well, I think it'll help to have Wimmer back. I think it'll help to potentially have Malone back. But, neither one of those guys, or Wimmer at times, really helped us offensively. I think that's the biggest one. Khalil never was a huge offensive weapon for us, obviously. I like the fact that it actually made some of the guys like Robinson have to come in and actually play and get some meaningful at bats, because those will be guys, that'll feel a lot more comfortable in a pinch hit situation if it dictates it. If there's a lefty coming up and you want to bring in a Heinrich instead of having in, whoever for, left on left, and you can switch it up. It's good that he's had to play a good bit lately and had some meaningful hits. So I think it's a positive. And again, I really do think it's a positive depending on the weather tomorrow. If the wind's blowing out to right center, I like South Carolina's chances. I mean, they hit the ball really well during the day there at Founders Park. And, you mentioned that about giving up the 1 or 2 runs early. That could be really difficult. But another reason why I'd say it'd be difficult if the normal Friday or Saturday starter was in Thomas Farr or oh gosh, his name's left me. Brennan Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not worried about when it's Brett Carey, because he can give up 1 or 2 early, and you look up and it's the 7th inning and he's still only giving up 1 or 2, and he's still in the game. He's not getting out of the game in the 4th or 5th inning, and he's just, throwing 3-2 counts to every single batter almost. And that's not saying that in a negative way towards those guys. I'm just saying that's what type of pitcher Brett Carey is, and that's why I felt like he really should have been the guy on Friday night, because you just can't give the other team that many chances. And that's why I like about Brett Carey is the consistency. I think he can win 2-1. I also think he can win 6-5, and that takes a special talent to be able to do that.
Strategically speaking, what do you expect from Coach Kingston? If we know what the opposition is, not that they're scared of this guy. They've seen SEC arms all year long, and also went to Texas. The best of the best have thrown against the Gamecocks this year, so they are prepared. But strategically speaking, are we talking, maybe you see a bunt or two a little bit earlier in the game than you might anticipate, hit and run? Are they going to play some small ball? Are they going to let them swing around? We don't know, but what are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, I personally would love to see them just swing it. Maybe a couple straight steals if you get the right guys on, but I do think you'll probably see some bunting early on in the right situation to try to give Carey a lead. I'm not a huge fan of the bunt. I mean, as a former pitcher, I used to love when guys would give me an out. I mean, it's hard enough to get 3. And especially if I've got first and second, nobody out, you going to give me an out? Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. I like getting an out whenever I was first and second, no out. So, but I think he'll probably play a little bit of small ball, try to get an early lead. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's, and let's see what the crowd's like tomorrow too. I think that could play a huge factor for South Carolina. Hopefully there'll be a lot of folks that'll play hooky from school and work and get out to support the Gamecocks. I know it's tough, but it should be a great day for baseball.
Yeah, Mark Kingston has already written that excuse, as a matter of fact. Those who are looking for it, head to Twitter. It's on the Gamecock Baseball Twitter page. Kip, I'll let you run after this final one here, but it's the first time in 5 years since a regional has been hosted at Founders Park. This is a proud program, obviously the home of folks like Kip Bouknight, who helped establish this tradition of, hey, in June, Carolina's playing baseball, and if not, we've got a problem. By the way, that list of accomplishments: 2 national championships, 4 College World Series runners-up, 32 appearances in the postseason, 18 times a regional has been hosted in Columbia, 7 super regionals in Columbia as well, and we could go on and on and on. Only once, by the way, Kip, only once in those 17 previous has Carolina lost a home regional, and that was in 2014. Again, you were a part of a special group that really started this expectation for Carolina baseball. So now that it's back, what is the new expectation, or is it just something continued? Hey, there isn't any changes. It's just nice to see it again, and let's just keep it going.
That's a tough one. I mean, the expectation I know for the players and coaches and myself is that they need to win this regional. I mean, there's no doubt that if you're at home and you got an opportunity, this team is battle tested. They've been beat up all season long in the SEC. You know, one thing that hasn't been talked about, and I know why, because it's over 20 years ago. But I remember my sophomore year, we won the East at 15-15. We were 33-24, and we did not even make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So here, South Carolina just won 16-14, and we're hosting. That goes to show you, and the reason I say that is only to show where South Carolina baseball is now and where it was back in 1999. And that's a testament to the great coaches that we've had prior. Coach Tanner built this program and got it back to where it needed to be. And Coach Raines obviously had a great run as well, and Coach Richardson. But that is huge. The fact that happened back in 99 where we won the East and didn't even make a regional. And then now we're at 16-14 and did. But I think that this team is expected to win this regional. I think it'll be disappointing if they don't. But I don't think it makes it like a wasted or awful season if they don't win this regional. This team has come a long way. I mean, the talent difference between 2 years ago and now is night and day. Yeah. This is arguably one of the best pitching staffs from an arm standpoint, just from a talent standpoint, that I've seen in a long time. I mean, it was a heck of a lot better than what we had, with all due respect. I mean, just from a velocity standpoint, just more deep. So, there's a lot of other things in there too that help you win games, and that's, pitchability and things. So there's definitely some give and take, and it's not just about velocity. I think South Carolina, this program, to feel like they're back, unfortunately, around here, I think they're going to have to get to Omaha. I really believe that, for the fans and folks to feel like this program is back. That's what it's going to take. And those are high expectations and tough ones, but Mark Kingston and staff and those players, that's what they're expecting. They wouldn't want it any different way, and I don't blame them. They shouldn't.
Well, I agree. It's as Mike Morgan often says, it's not your birthright to be in Omaha. It's incredibly difficult to be there, but it certainly is understandable for certain programs to have those expectations, because if you have them, you've obviously set those, and programs of past at Carolina have done exactly that. By the way, while I've got you here, before we let you run, I can't help every time. Look, this guy, Kevin Kopps at Arkansas, is remarkable. His stats are stupid. 10 saves, 10-0. He could come in and throw 3 innings, 5 innings, 1 inning, 1 pitch, whatever it is, ERA under 1. And everybody says, well, I've never seen that before. But I have. One of your teammates, Scott Barber. His ERA wasn't under 1, but if you didn't have Scott Barber, I don't know what would have been of that team. But he had 14, 15 saves and 10 wins himself.
Yeah, double digits in both, if I'm not mistaken, and arguably the best pitching season I've ever seen. I mean, it was unbelievable. He would close on Friday and Saturday, start on Sunday. I mean, it would never be allowed to happen today. It was truly remarkable what he did. I watched him the summer prior to that. We were in Chatham, New Jersey, or Chatham, Cape Cod. Yeah. And I think he gave up like 1 or 2 runs the whole summer. I mean, he was, 92 to 94 with his fastball and 86 with his slider, and it was incredible. I mean, he was unhittable. And yeah, I have seen it before. Maybe not but I can tell you this much: I'd take Scott Barber over Kopps any day of the week, because he was a 2-pitch guy. Actually, he could start too. I mean, he started real well. He had a changeup as well. Kopps just got 1 pitch, but it's a good one. He's got the gyro spin going or whatever. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is a good one. And Scott Barber was a good one too. You were actually pretty good yourself, Mr. Golden Spikes Award winner. We'll let you run on that note. It is regional weekend, Kip. Enjoy it, man. Baseball is back in June in Columbia, home of college baseball's postseason, as I often refer to it. And we'll talk to you very soon, brother. Thank you so much.
Sounds great, guys. Enjoy the show. Take care.
Yes, thank you. There you go. Kip Bouknight, former All-American at South Carolina. Of course, he's been on TV throughout the season for the last few seasons, calling Carolina baseball on the SEC network. All right, time for a timeout. When we return, joined by pitching coach Skylar Meade. He's going to give us the full game plan. Everything. He's got it. Lay it out for you right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.
Mike Morgan here for Gamecock Traditions. Baseball is going strong. You'll want to look sharp when you cheer on your Gamecocks. Under Armour, New Era, sideline hats, all with interlocking SC Baseball logo. 18 styles of $10 tees exclusively at Gamecock Traditions. Get on that email list by going to the bottom of the page, enter your email, and always be the first to know about new items as they arrive. You can also add a little Gamecock flair with house signs, garden flags, interior and yard decorations, only at one place, Gamecock Traditions.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Bourbon and whiskey drinkers of Charleston. Paddock and Whiskey on James Island and the Terrace Shopping Center on Maybank is your home for the finest and rarest bourbon and whiskey drinks in the Low Country. This is where I hang out. Go meet my friends Reed and Chris and try one of their exclusive barrel pick bourbons. They have the largest private barrel collection in the state, and let their knowledgeable staff recommend your next pour. PaddockandWhiskey.com. Let not your heart be troubled. Paddock and Whiskey is here for your next double. We're all friends around here. Paddock and Whiskey, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
That one hung up, and he lifts it to deep left center field on the run, and dropped in left field by Ball. 2 runs are going to score. Hit towards short and through. Mooney let it go right through, and we are tied at 2-2. He may have been distracted. Crochet, tap back to the mound, throw the second, got one on the first, double play. Struck him out. Top of the 10th in a 2-2 tie at the College World Series. Struck him out with the bases loaded. Price gets out of a huge jam. Fastball hit toward short, could be 2, second for 1 on the first, double play. They get out of the bases loaded jam in the 12th. Rolled to the second baseman. Caught double play. Are you kidding me? They go to third. It's not going to be a time-minute throw away. That's it. South Carolina's going to win it in the 13th.
The Virginia Cavaliers, well, they gave it their best, but we sent them home crying just like all the rest.
They did. Patrick Davis sung about it, and that is what happened the last time Virginia and South Carolina faced each other in the postseason, a 3-2 wild one. And all those double plays, if you remember, there's nothing wrong with our audio. That happened in those 5 innings pitched by Matt Price. Double play after double play after double play. And Carolina survived the Wahoos en route to their 2nd straight College World Series championship. They're not playing for a College World Series title today, not yet at least, but it starts that run potentially with this game. Virginia and the Gamecocks at noon, nationally televised on ESPN2, and the man that will call the pitches in this game for the Garnet and Black are one of our dear friends, the pitching coach for South Carolina, Skylar Meade, joining us on the JB and Goldwater Columbia Regional Preview Special. What's up, my friend?
Oh, just sitting here looking at a bunch of rain in Columbia. A bunch of rain, bunch of storms. No hail, though.
Well, that's good. Don't need any of that. That's what happens. You know how this works. You've been doing this a long time. You played in regionals at Louisville. You've coached in a bunch of regionals and super regionals, Omaha. The postseason rolls around, the weather shows up. You know how it works.
That is exactly how it works. Actually, I remember we hosted the super regional as a player, and we were all excited because we were like, holy crap, we're going to have fans. And about 40 minutes before first pitch of our game against Oklahoma State, we had like 2 inches of rain, like out of nowhere. And we were all like, well, this sucks. It's going to ruin the crowd. All worked out, but it was a buzzkill, to say the least.
Dude, it's college baseball. It's literally, Darren, I think we talked about this back in February, right? Right when the season was starting. You can count on it. Oh, man, it's kind of a mild start to the year. Just wait till they're ready to go in college baseball. It'll be cold. Every year, 30 degrees all of a sudden, first pitch, and it's freezing for the next month. And then it starts to be nice, and then June hits and thunderstorms come. That's just the way it goes. But nonetheless, we're playing, and it's Brett Carey and Andrew Abbott, maybe the best matchup in college baseball, at least on the mound that we're going to see this weekend. Skylar, you've been off for a while. How you doing? Everybody healthy? How's everybody feeling?
Yeah, everybody's doing good. I think this little time to, recharge. Obviously, we'd like to play longer, but everybody has recharged, properly. Pitchers, position players alike. Burgess got a little break, which I think is good for him. I think it's really been good for our team. I mean, I made the comment the last couple of days. I haven't seen our guys hit the ball this hard in a while, just in BP. And I understand the BP doesn't always translate to the game, but it shows, our guys are explosive. They're ready to go. When we threw live on Tuesday, some of our arms that needed some reps, I mean, those guys were throwing the heck out of it. So, I think our guys are in as good a place as they can be. Does that mean that you're going to get it done? No, but I think we've put all our chips in the right place.
We were talking with Kip Bouknight just a little bit ago, and I mentioned to him, Skylar, generally when you introduce what we would call, with air quotes, a Friday night guy, when you introduce a new Friday night guy in the postseason, yes, probably not the best sign in the world. But for you, this is actually a great sign. It's Brett Carey that's going to get get to throw the first pitch of the 2021 regional for Carolina baseball. He's just special. It doesn't matter where you've put him over the last few years. He succeeds. He always figures out a way to get it done. What makes him so special, and how has he embraced this moment since he's known, hey, I'm going to be the guy in game one?
First, to answer your question on what makes him so special, I mean, he's just as a steady-minded kid. When you watch him compete, it's as if sometimes he's in a different world than everybody else, and he's just kind of doing his thing. Doesn't mean he's not fiery and stuff like that at times, but I mean, he can stay incredibly composed in the face of, what some would deem pressure moments. So yeah, look, he's built for this. He's built for all the things that he's done, and obviously he's served a variety of roles here. And I felt for a long time, I think he's one of the more impressive pitchers that South Carolina's had in a long time. And I know there's a laundry list of them. I can hear, some of the names, even just on that little, audio that was playing before I came on here. I mean, there's been a lot, but I just, for my money, there ain't many better than Brett Carey. So I'd go to battle with that guy any day. And so, yeah, I think he's gonna be ready to go. One thing about Brett, win or lose, he's always going to go into it with the right mindset and the right ability or right level of compete.
Well, he's going to face one of the top arms in the country. Is that something that y'all have discussed? Is that something he thinks about? Some guy, everybody's a little bit different. Or does Brett Carey just kind of think about Brett Carey?
I'm going to tell you that one real quick. He just thinks about what he's going to do. I was talking to some scouts, and we were talking about Brett and different guys, and I think Brett has the really positive selfish gene for a pitcher, and what I mean by that is he knows when it's time to worry about Brett. And when you're a pitcher, there needs to be an element of selfish, and I think Brett has that perfect perfect amount of it. Like a lot of our pitchers, I think it's why many of our pitchers have been successful. They understand it. They got to get their work done, whether that's weight room, running, training room, throwing, whatever, film review. They know how to really lock in on themselves and have themselves prepare the best. And, I don't think Brett's thinking about anything other than how he's going to execute tomorrow against Virginia's hitters. It doesn't matter to him. He may not even, I'm telling you, he may honestly not even know the name of the guy that we're facing on the other
side. Well, you do. And you probably also know the names or at least the numbers of the guys in the Wahoo's lineup. I mean, Skylar, it's an interesting offensive group, right? Because they've only hit 35 home runs. I mean, Wes Clark's hit 22. So, I mean, if that puts it into perspective a little bit, only about 260 as a squad. They got some guys in there. The Teal kid is dangerous. A couple other names that I know that are on your radar, certainly. But they don't strike out a lot, Skylar. So as the pitching coach, what has kind of your scouting report been of Virginia? And I guess the approach changes with who you're throwing on the mound. I'm not asking you to tell us what the game plan is, but when you first look at these guys, who do you compare them to? Maybe that's already been on the or on the schedule this year, and what's that approach been like for the last couple of days?
No, it's a good question. I think you're right. First and foremost, whatever your guy does well, that's what you got to do well. That's always going to be the case in baseball when it's that pitcher hitter battle. But in terms of them, I think they are almost a cross between the Mississippi State, where they take that massive 2-strike battle. They take it very personally and they, refuse to strike out. So I think they're a cross between them and Clemson in a sense that, many of times you can tell what pitch they may or may not be sitting on. And you'll see that with teams, but I think they're kind of a mixture there because they got a little bit of momentum of recent offensively. They had a couple games where they hit some jacks in the ACC tournament. They're going to crowd the plate with 2 strikes. They got some guys that can run and are pretty athletic down the line. They're not, going to wow you with the running numbers, but they're capable of doing it if you don't do your work and you nap as a pitching staff or, you nap behind the plate, whichever the case may be. So it's going to be very formidable, but I think the thing about them is they're feeling good about themselves, the way they have played recently. So, we're going to have to do the old get the leadoff guys out. You're going to have to, hopefully Brett does what he generally does and doesn't give up freebies. I mean, you're going to need to do that, especially in tournament baseball. It's like Coach Mack used to always tell us in college, tournament baseball is about clean defense, throwing strikes, and getting 2-out hits. I mean, that's going to be the name of the game tomorrow and beyond.
You mentioned clean defense. According to Coach Kingston, George, Braylon, and Brennan are all expected to go. How does that make you feel as the pitching coach, knowing they might be rolling a bunch of ground balls out there?
Yeah, they do. And they do hit a lot of ground balls as an offensive team, about as many as any team we've played. So, I'm glad, like I said, on the front end. And those guys certainly needed more time, those 3 that you mentioned with their, various ailments. But I'm just glad that we'll be able to put out the guys that are out there. They'll be 100% ready to go. There should be no issues for the most part, for any of them. And so I think it'll we'll have a representative team out there of what's allowed us to have success during the year.
Skylar Meade, pitching coach of the Gamecocks. Virginia and South Carolina will lead off the NCAA tournament at noon on ESPN2. Skylar, this time of the year generally is about some of the better teams that we've seen. I'll say it this way, not always, but a lot of the time, it's about leadership. Dudes who've been in this position before, guys who've been around, they've experienced the postseason. That's what made this program's run so special back in 2010 through 2012 is, it was normal to win in the postseason. They won 158 straight games. It seemed like it was more like 22, but nonetheless, I mean, when you've been there, done that, the environment doesn't seem as big as it is. And so I kind of say all of that to preface the question of who have been your leaders in this process into the postseason as y'all are set to go.
we don't have a lot of guys that have that experience, obviously. And I don't think a ton of teams, you know, especially in the SEC, do, just with the amount of turnover that you have with the draft and things of that nature. So I think it's a little bit, it can be a little bit of a jaded deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for us, the guys that, you know, have been leading the charge are kind of the same guys that it has, you know, been throughout the year. And we have guys do it in a variety of ways. You know, Brett Carey goes about his business like a winner, but he's not a very, you know, vocal guy. Whereas, you know, Andy Peters is a guy that, you know, he'll tell somebody that, hey, man, you got to do this better, or you need to do this a little harder if they're slacking. He's a little more, you know, vocal perhaps than maybe Brett or another guy. You know, on the position side, you know, I think Brady Allen has always kind of been the guy that, you know, stirs the pot. I mean, he works out hard in the weight room. He's very disciplined with his hitting, plays very hard in the outfield, you know, whereas Andrew Eister's kind of that silent, you know, older guy who has been through the SEC, put up good numbers in the SEC. And so he kind of goes about his business in a way that others can kind of feed off. But, you know, I would say it's definitely a collective effort for our guys. There's not really one guy that, you know, is always the one wrangling up the group of players, and, you know, whether it's good or bad. I mean, I think we have a lot of guys that have exhibited leadership characteristics. And what's good for us too, you know, Jamie, is like, it's on both sides of the ball. It's not, a lot of times you're very like position player driven when it comes to leaders. Some of our most incredible kids, incredible leaders are pitchers on this team. And so I think that builds a good dynamic and a good rapport amongst all the guys. There's no division amongst, you know, pitchers, players, things of that nature. It's a very like cohesive unit.
Couple questions left, Skylar, and then, you know, we know that you have things to do this time of the year. I've said a couple of times this week that if you worried about tomorrow in the postseason, we would have never had the legend of Michael Roth in a Gamecock uniform. Because, you know, back during that time, that 2010 run for South Carolina, they had to worry about playing each day for each day, and then worry about tomorrow. That was kind of the way Ray Tanner always approached it. And I know that you and Coach Kingston and y'all's staff do a lot of the same. Can you kind of walk us through that process a little bit? I know that you've already received questions. You know, well, who's going to start game 2? Well, who would start game 3? Well, what would the bullpen look like? And you're the pitching coach. So can you kind of walk us through that process of how you approach, especially weekends like this where you don't exactly know what whom your opponent may be in the next couple of ball games?
Yeah, no doubt. I think what you got to do is you certainly prioritize your top arms, or the guys that maybe have gotten you there. And I'm speaking to this obviously from just an arm perspective, but, you know, you got to know who your top guys are. Then as you go, you know, longer perhaps into a tourney, then you have to prioritize who can fill a certain role, whether you need a spot starter, or whether you need a guy to get some length, whether you need a guy who, hey man, this is the guy that can throw every day. Like, this guy can help us get 3 to 5 outs every day, and we got to utilize that to get through the back end of the bracket. You know, in terms of your starters, you know, for us, we're fortunate. We kind of have a grouping that has done it. We've had 5 different guys start SEC games. So, like, we at least have the ability to have dudes who you can revert to and go, okay, this guy's at least gotten to do it. But you're going to also go at it with your best. It's kind of like your question you asked about how do you attack Virginia. I look at it the same way in terms of how you just attack the next game. You're going to attack it with probably your best, whoever your next best guy is, whoever your hottest guy is, and you hope that the matchup bodes well, and that you have the horses in the bullpen to attack them, you know, as well. But you're not going to sit there and just hold guys just for that what if. Like, that's something you just can't do. You got to win that day and then figure it out after. And that's what we're going to try to do to the best of our ability starting tomorrow at noon.
Well, that was kind of my point. It's like, you know, there's always so much talk. You know, it's fun. I get it. But it's, well, but what if you start this guy and what if you do that guy? I'm like, yeah, but okay, but what if you lose that game? None of that crap matters anymore. Don't you have to win the game first before anything else matters? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just archaic thinking, Skylar. But before we let you run, can you give us just a a quick synopsis, quick rundown, a brief scouting report of both ODU and Jacksonville. ODU is really good. We know that Jacksonville's got a nice little run going to get in the postseason. I know that you've been really focused on Virginia, but obviously, all three of these programs are joining you in your region. I'm sure you've peeked at them a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Jacksonville is a team that, it's crazy to think they were 7-28 at one point. And the turnaround that they had, and they got hot offensively. They're kind of later in the year. They kind of cut down some strikeouts, started moving the ball around, had a couple guys, get hot with the bat. So obviously they're a team coming in with that nothing to lose mentality, which can be great come tournament time. It doesn't take a genius on the ODU side to see that, man, they have really hit. They're one of the elite hitting programs in the country. Both average, on base, home runs. They're over 100 home runs this year. I know their coaching staff pretty well, and obviously they promote a certain style of baseball that I think can be very appealing, and they've done a good job recruiting across the country. They got some velocity with the arm. They got a little more velocity than Jacksonville. Jacksonville doesn't have the type of velocity that ODU has. Not that doesn't mean they can't be successful, but ODU is going to run in some velocity that'll look similar to a lot of the SEC teams that we've played. And so, look, it's a really good regional. Each team is different in their own way, which is both exciting probably to the viewer, can kind of suck as a coach because you're preparing for a lot of different things and different styles. But what I hope for us is, and I really mean this, it's not just coach speak. I think, when you look just specifically to our pitching staff, you got a lot of guys that are good at different things. I understand that as a group, there's some stuff that we all do well. We strike out a lot of guys, especially the second half of the year. We've attacked the strike zone really well. But we got guys that are, unique in their own way as how they get guys. And so my hope is we'll have enough pieces there to attack whomever we play in the right way. Obviously Virginia tomorrow, we go at it with Brett and whoever after. And beyond that, we at least have, I think, enough pieces to the puzzle that hopefully we can do some big things.
For the second time in 3 seasons, Skylar, the Gamecocks, your Gamecocks, are in a regional. The last time that happened, that was 2018. You won it, and then went on to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and fell 1 game shy of Omaha. We'll see what happens this year. Certainly, I know that y'all are excited to be playing at home in the postseason. Columbia is a brilliant place to be this time of year when the Gamecocks are hosting postseason college baseball games. I just thoroughly hope that you enjoy every piece of it, and I really hope that Sunday night y'all are regional champions, and then we'll see what happens from there. But thank you so much for all of your time, not just today but throughout the season. You're a good friend. You're a hell of a pitching coach, and we look forward to following along this weekend.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you guys. And I appreciate you putting it in such a good way, Jamie. People have asked me a lot of times this week, oh my God, you guys haven't been to the tournament in forever. I'm going, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. 2019 we didn't enjoy, but I don't know, did you forget COVID happened last year? We missed the season there.
I know.
But I appreciate you putting it in the way that it really has gone down. No, it's gonna be awesome this weekend. I hope the fans really show up and show out. Let's just say people here in Columbia obviously are accustomed to running a regional. I've been blown away how smooth everything's been going the last couple of days here, and hopefully the baseball is as good as the prep has been for Founders Park to host.
Yeah, the guy that runs the athletics department up there does know a thing or two about how these things are supposed to go. You figured that out, right?
He does a little bit. Coach Tanner knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
just a smidge. Coach Jerry Myers, he knows a little bit. He used to coach at Old Dominion, or be the head coach at Old Dominion, and even the grounds crew. Donnie knows what it's supposed to look like. No rocks, no divots, perfect chalk. If it ain't perfect, they ain't playing. So Donnie will make sure it's right.
Well, Donnie was telling some stories from the old Stars days on Coach Tanner yesterday. I won't get Coach Tanner riled up, but Donnie was giving him some tough words out there. We telling a story with him, and I don't know if you know Coach Medlin, who's been around this state forever and is the best, and helping out here this weekend. And they started going about some old Sarge Fridays and Coach Tanner stories, and they got going pretty good out there yesterday. It was fun for me to hear.
Yeah, Coach Tanner, he's he cleans up well, right, Skylar? But he's got a little bit of a potty mouth behind the scenes, doesn't he?
Listen, I'm a plead the fifth. Can't never speak a word. He's an administrator now. He keeps it on the straight and narrow all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's no question. Well, go get him, brother.
I like my job right there. That's why I say that.
Oh yeah. No, I don't blame him. He can't fire me. So I get it. So hey, he said, look, he already cut me once. He can't do it again. I can't allow that to happen. So I'll handle it from there. But no, man, thank you so much. Go get them. Give our best to Coach Lake and Coach Kingston and everybody involved. It's going to be a brilliant weekend at Founders Park. Can't wait to see it.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys.
Always. There you go. Pitching coach at South Carolina, Skylar Meade. And a little bit of a surprise as we leave you with this note. Old Dominion is going to start their best arm, Hunter Gregory, against Jacksonville in game 2, but game 1, of course, for them. So, I kind of thought if Virginia or South Carolina advance, they would see the Gregory kid who's gone the deepest. He's 8-2 this year. His ERA is under 3. He is their best guy, but he'll go in game 1 for ODU. That's interesting, Darren. So a little bit of a twist already.
Yeah. I mean, we were both expecting that not to happen. Their ace has been going on Saturday anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
They want to make sure they beat the Dolphins.
That's right. That's exactly right. Thanks to Skylar Meade and Kip Bouknight, and as always to my great buddy Darren Goldwater.
You too, man.
Absolutely. The 2021 Columbia Regional Preview Special brought to you and driven by Stokes Volkswagen right here on the JB and Goldwater Show. It's back. Postseason in college baseball, boys and girls. Starting at noon. Enjoy it. And we'll see you on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend.